Welcome back to the ASUS ROG Dreamleague. We're going to be bringing you guys SNA versus Complexity in just a couple of minutes. And then, of course, this is the A stream. On the B stream, you'll have Cloud9 versus Complexity. And Wagga, how do they play 2 games at the same time?
Sounds impossible, man.
It's science.
They have 10 players.
Actually, it's replays.
Or 10 players.
But we're casting the live games. And we're going to be casting, in my opinion, what should be the closer match.
Yes.
Between these 2 teams.
I think so.
I think they're using a stand-in today at SNA is. Right, because they have Brax actually playing, who previously played for Navi US, and I don't even know what happened to that team actually, because
I'm not sure on the inside story on it either, but
Theban coaches Team Secret now, and they don't play.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the team is kind of just like.
I kind of feel that Theban might become a full-time coach for Secret and not actually play anymore, which is probably not a bad position to have either, and he's doing a good job seemingly. So.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we're just waiting for the last person from SNA to get inside of the lobby. I think we're waiting on Ush, maybe? Or whoever is obviously between the 2. Everyone else is here. Fluff's here, Mike's here, TC's here, Brax is standing in. So we just need one more, and we'll be able to start the game. But I personally have not watched Complexity play, because normally, like, you watch the big tournaments like Starlighter and stuff like that, and they're usually, like, eliminated before you really get to see them in the limelight. So I'm kind of interested to see what they're going to be bringing here today. Yeah,
I'm also curious, because I haven't seen them play together as a team. I know the players fairly. Like, I've seen them play in just pub games and like, replays that I've seen. And I've talked to Moon Meander as well, and he's a fun guy who streams quite a bit, or a no-namer, as Bruno would say. But to see how they work together will be interesting.
Yeah, of course, and we just saw that team of Complexity right there. It's Swindle Melons, Limp, Moon Meander, Z-Freak, and Bloody Nine. And for those of you, Z-Freak and Swindle Melons are brothers. And Z-Freak is the younger of the 2. Yeah.
That's news to
me. They used to play Han together pretty frequently, and I mean, they were very well known. But I think a lot of people who make the transition from that game to Dota, it's like big fish in a small pond. You know what I mean? Like, the Dota pool is way, way bigger. And here we're going to see Sneaky Nick's Assassins. And I actually do have Brax's picture there, so maybe he's not a stand-in, but perhaps a new permanent member of the team.
I'm not sure, or maybe just showing up as a player. I'm not completely sure he's going to join them, but he is a very good player, and he has played in many teams along with LGD End back in the days as well. And I think back when he joined LGD End, I wasn't sure he was going to be an outstanding player or anything, but after seeing what he accomplished there, I definitely believe in him. Yeah. So we'll see how he fits with the rest of these players.
I mean, for some time, LGD End was the team that basically kind of shook up the Chinese scene, right? Because people at that time didn't necessarily have the experience of playing against European teams, and they brought like European strategy and North American strategy.
The sad part for LGD End was they brought a lot of new stuff and did really well.
And made them better.
They got figured out, and it's like, okay, we'll do this against you. And then they didn't really work anymore. They relied very heavily, this is like kind of old now, but they relied very heavily back then on roaming with Chen and SD or Chen Rubik combinations and just very good rotations early on. But sadly, the Chinese teams learned really well how to adapt to this and predict the ganks, which really shut them down.
And I think that actually has like a large impact on like what the Eastern scene actually brings today. Because every time they see something, they learn it really, really well, and then they come back with like even better additions to what we already do. So the draft is actually live, so we'll be able to see what both teams are going to be bringing to the table. And honestly, like I said, Complexity for me is a shot in the dark. Like, I don't know what they're going to pick.
Exactly. I would say that Sneaky Nick's Assassins are supposed to be the favorite in this matchup, but that's also because I don't really know how strong coL are and what they can provide. But they're going to go with the standard Terrorblade ban here in the first phase, nothing that really surprises anyone. He is so hard to shut down if you don't win the laning stage really hard against him.
Yeah. I don't know. I look at the Terrorblade ban, and it feels to me that there are so many heroes in the pool nowadays that can punish and be able to win in like 15, 20 minutes. Think of the way that EG drafts, for example, like the Jakiro line that they ran yesterday with like not necessarily a farming Veno or anything crazy like that, but just the ability to pressure tier 1s. Like, Terrorblade is very useless in those type of situations unless you have like a really, really good start. Like, ideally, you want level 7+ before you even try to take any engagements, because you want your ult for sure. Now that they increased the cast range on it, which I personally feel is a really big buff.
It was a big buff. Like, the cast range is amazing. And as you said, having your level 7 is key, because else your damage is lacking. And when you have that, you can just keep going and force down the enemy towers. But if you're not at that point yet, there are many other heroes who can just burst him down due to his low HP bar. Like, he really dies to 2 or 3 nukes, too, if there are stuns involved.
Yeah,
so he's easy to control early on, at least.
Terrorblade not known for the best strength game. Can confirm less than 500 HP at like level 5.
Yeah, he starts with 415, I believe, something like that, which is ridiculous. But he also has...
Is it the lowest in the game?
I believe he has the lowest HP in the game at the start, but he also has incredibly good armor. So spells are, of course, super useful. But the other bans, talk about them as well. Another good pusher is being removed in Death Prophet. And on the other side, we have Sneaky Nix Assassins removing the Enigma and Batrider, leading to a first pick Skyra.
I love the first pick Sky. That's like one of my favorite things, just because it doesn't tell your opponent what you want to do, really.
True.
I mean, there's some openings where you pick Brew and you're like, okay, that's kind of ambiguous, right? You don't necessarily know what kind of lineup they're going to be running if they just go for a Brewmaster. And SNA, they're not playing any games, man. They first picked a Lycan.
Speaking of first picks that tell you something about what you want to do, you pick a Lycan, your intentions are already pretty clear. You want to push, and I think that Lycan is very good against Sky. In many ways. You can even just put the wolves on Sky and actually kill him straight up with wolves if Skywrath is unlucky.
Yeah, you send like in mid, get 4 levels in wolves, just send him around top lane if he's there supporting, and it's like suddenly, okay, well, I do no damage to these things because they have what, like 80% magic reduction or something like that?
Even more, I think.
And then,
it's ridiculous. And they have HP regen.
Yeah, you can't right-click them down because you're a Skywrath, and they're actually just going to go ahead and take out the Brew, which is, well, pick the Brew themselves, take it away from Complexity, which is one of the, I wouldn't necessarily say hard counters to Lycan, but it is a nuisance.
I would agree that that was a snatch more than maybe picking something that will work really well in their favor. But it is also nice to have some team fight strength when you're picking a Lycan lineup, because you can push really hard if you know that you are stronger. So if you can have Lycan and stronger team fight, then you're pretty set to just force down the enemy towers. So pretty nice that they steal that. Wonder what Complexity really will go for as their second pick here after Skywrath. But definitely having Sky against Brewmaster is a good start, though.
Yeah.
That's a very nice counter.
The one thing that I'm kind of worried about for Complexity, and it looks like their direct answer is actually going to be Ember Spirit now. I think Ember Spirit is good against Brew and Lycan in the ultra late game, but I don't think he's very good during the mid game, like first 30 minutes or so, because your damage output isn't really significant enough to make a Lycan or a Brewmaster really fear you in the team fights.
True.
But I do think that the mobility of the hero makes him hard to focus, and maybe they're just looking for somebody to. So you just go for the slight build and you just try to be annoying, I guess.
Yeah, I have talked to some people, and I also know that Moon Meander really likes playing Ember. And he likes to play it in a different way than the standard way. He likes building, for example, Skadi Assault Cuirass kind of build and get tanky to the point where you can actually stand and fight a little bit with Ember. But in this game, I think it's going to be hard against something like a Lycan. You never really want to stand and man fight against him with any hero. Even a Lifestealer will walk away from Lycan. You don't you don't take that fight.
I mean, anything that gets a base attack speed increase and a baseline crit and hits as hard as Lycan does, you don't want to stand against. Like, it's just way too much. And on top of that, even if you just summon wolves, there's still a small chance that your Searing Chains cannot hit the Lycan, and that's assuming like even pre-BKB.
And your damage is just lacking. Early on, I mean, your damage is not enough to bring down Lycan in particular. He has very high armor, so your Sleight of Fist is not going to do that much when he has his Vladimirs and his other items. I mean, even Medallion used to be purchased quite a bit by Lycan, but has seen a definite fall in that as Necrobook is more prioritized to get early nowadays.
Yeah.
But even then, Necrobook makes him pretty tanky as well. So Ember, as you said, in the mid game will have a big time struggling against Lycan. But bringing it late game against Brewmaster's ulti even, Ember Spirit is pretty good. Just chopping them down with some cleave and Daedalus. So we'll see really. These two heroes so far, there's not too much to say how the matchup other than that. But Tidehunter being removed here and Vengeful as well is very smart by Complexity. Getting away some minus armor and removing even more teamfight control for Sneaky Nix.
Yeah, you don't want to have to deal with a potential Brewmaster and Tide both being able to zone your heroes off towers, because you know that SNA with a Lycan, you want to kill at least the tier 1s, right? Like, that's very, very easy game for any team with a Lycan, really.
Yes.
And if you have a Brewmaster to have that zone control, then it becomes even easier to just walk into there and get that done. And that's kind of why I'm curious about the Ember. I'm sure that he'll be able to play it well. It's just I'm not sure how well the hero is going to function if he loses all his map control too quickly.
Yeah, that is the downside to many of these heroes that take quite a while before they get to the point where they can deal physical damage. Ember does have very nice magical damage output early on, though, and so does Skywrath. So their burst is really there, and against heroes who are so innately tanky and have evasion, like Brewmaster, it is nice that they have the damage output, but they need control. They don't have any good disables so far. I mean, sure, you have Concussive Shot. It's not going to do anything against Lycan. It's not going to do much against the Brewmaster either, because he can often blink away from it. But you need to bring in some of the heavy disablers, and this is also feels like a snatch grab, but also a very nice synergy for Sneaky Nyx as well. Ogre Magi can Bloodlust your Lycan, can just contribute even more to your pushing power, but giving away Ogre and Skywrath is very scary.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at complexity right now, I'm thinking even like Shaker or coL or something like that, just to be able to keep distance from what SNA have right now, because it's triple melee. Obviously, one of them is going to be a Blink Initiator, but the Ogre has to be relatively close to get his spells off. Ignite's a bit longer range than Fire Blast, but you're not really worried about the Ignite. You're worried about getting stunned into a Lycan just killing you immediately.
I like the coL to an extent, because of the mana leak being so good on level 1 now.
Yeah.
You can just throw that on Lycan, and he can't really chase people. As much as you don't care about having mana, getting stunned when you're running after someone is a big, disruption.
It's a long stun as well, isn't it?
It is a pretty good stun, even on level 1, I believe, but I can't remember exactly how long it is and if it scales. I believe it scales up to a pretty good duration. But just having him is already very nice, because you can disjoint the chase by just mana leaking Lycan, and then you can put the Blinding Light as well, which has an increased push range now.
Yep.
So the two of them could work really well.
They're going to go with the Witch Doctor, which is not necessarily a natural counter to Brew Split, but it can be frustrating and just a lot of things to bounce to. And if you get good RNG, maybe you can lock somebody down pretty well. Plus, they're all melee again.
Yeah.
So the cask has a higher probability of hitting those targets.
And Death Ward has an easier time hitting them. But the problem in this game with Witch Doctor pick, I don't really like it that much because of Brewmaster. Because Brew, if he gets his split off, is always going to have some disable reserved for Witch Doctor. He won't forget that guy. And it's so easy to control him. So I'm not sure how much you can actually contribute with Witch Doctor here, but let's see what Sneaky Nyx wants to grab as their second. What do you think? Are they going to pick something a little bit more range here, or are they going to go 5 melee against Ember?
I really hope they do pick something ranged, at the very least.
Else the multiple Battle Fury build comes into question as well. You can go for double Battle Fury early on, then crit.
I think if you're like max Sleight of Fist and you're playing against that many melee, double Battle Fury is like way better than just going for a crit.
Definitely.
Like, even when splits out, when you have wolves to target as well.
Well, someone did the math on it as well and posted it a while ago now on Reddit, that triple Battle Fury is actually probably the best build in terms of just dealing damage to people who are within your splash area, and then going into a Daedalus. But that's also going to leave you with very bad single target damage, and if Lycan is ever alone without having people around him, you deal no damage at all, pretty much. So it's, it's a matter of only being able to shot people who stack up, which is unreliable, and to say the least, in tournament games.
Yeah, that's true. And if you look at SNA now with the Jakiro pick, it's not that they have to 5-man. I mean, a Jakiro going to A lane, we saw yesterday, Cloud9 versus EG. Jakiro can kill a tower alone. You don't have to commit 5 heroes to do that. And
it goes very fast.
Complexity actually picking up a puck against all these heroes. That has to be the answer to not the Jakiro, the Brewmaster mainly. Like having a way to initiate on that. You follow up a Waning Rift with a Sky Silence, and then you try to just burst the Brew before he gets anything off. But once BKBs come out, the damage from 3 of the heroes in Complexity is non-existent.
Yeah.
Like 0.
That's true. I mean, they do have Ember and they do have Witch Doctor with his ulti, but as I previously mentioned, you can't rely on Witch Doctor ulti in this game. You really can't. Especially with even Ice Path coming out now. There are some good disables from Sneaky Nyx to just stop Witch Doctor from afar. And Puck, while I like the hero against Brewmaster and is a very good counter there, he's not that amazing against heroes like Ogre and Jakiro, who are so innately tanky.
Yeah. You need people to finish the job for you, basically, is the old age or age-old problem of Puck. And if he gets like an Aghanims or something like that, I could see that being pretty useful this game, especially against things like Lycan ulti.
We talked about it earlier.
Dude, it is actually insanely good. So any hero that has high mobility wants to be able to move around and focus whatever target, but you're not really going to be able to do that if the Puck hits an Aghs. But again, we'll see how the laning phase works out, and I'm assuming it's either going to be a well, it could be offlane Jakiro, I suppose.
It should be at this point, yeah, with the Rubik Ogre support, which leaves them with pretty good dual roaming as well. So mid lane is scary already for Complexity, just by the fact that there's an Ogre and Rubik on the field. Because Brewmaster, with any ganking, can kill a hero really easy.
Yeah.
And Ember before level 6 is, you know, he's fair game, easy kill.
And this is one of the few times that I actually feel like the Rubik pick in general is okay, just because of the sheer amount of damage output that SNA has.
Do you think that Complexity should put Ember in a farming position instead of going mid?
I think so. I mean, unless they want to offlane the puck, because they're really reliant on the early game to be able to find picks.
Yeah.
Like if you're going for any sort of aggression, which they kind of have to with those heroes. I mean, they do benefit some from farm, but mainly the Ember is going to be the one who wants to do it. But they have so much killing potential pre-BKB that I feel like it would be a waste to not put the puck mid. Like you really want those levels.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case though. We're going to see Moon Meander playing on the Lifestealer. We have Limp on puck, Freak on Witch Doctor, Swindle Melons on Ember, and Bloody Nine on Skywrath. So this should be a farming Lifestealer, I think. But even Lifestealer is a hero that could go off lane and has done so in the past.
Yeah, YYF, man.
Yeah, you can definitely change this. Even YYF and Yao, many other players in the West as well have played this, but of course it doesn't look to be the case, and Puck should be off-laning in this game.
I guess the benefits of sending the Ember mid is that even against a Brewmaster who's going to be spamming Drunken Haze, you don't really need to use like much auto-attack harass. You basically just always time your Flame Guard for after the clap if you can, although I guess at the same time you could just argue the Brew could hold it.
Dad Puck.
I don't know. It's Dad Puck for sure. Shout out to Brax. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
But I'm actually curious as to how the matchup's going to go. I think on paper it should be even, right?
It is an even matchup, but when this happens as well, this is a very good build, by the way, for solo mid Ember against anything, I feel. Going for the first item, Poor Man's Shield, along with some stack tangles, and then having an Iron Branch, you become pretty strong. You get one extra armor there as well, and deny some damage from the right-click harass, which is his biggest problem against any hero. Yeah. Even a melee hero like Brewmaster will right-click you a lot.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be like it anyway.
It's going to be like it on mid lane. Yeah. But this is a fair matchup for Ember because of TC won't have any way to remove the Flame Guard.
Right.
And that's a big issue sometimes.
Yeah, more favorable for the Ember, I think, than going up against the Brew for sure. Because I think Thunderclap scales in a way that you can almost remove it completely at like levels 1 and 2. 3 and 4 are a different story, though, because you just simply don't have that much magic damage. But for a while, it's not really that big of an issue.
You can remove level 1 Flame Guard. Level 2 is already 200 damage, though. So that's when you have a little bit of time where you can keep the Flame Guard against most spells. But on level 1, it gets eaten by anything with 50 absorption, really weak. Anyway, it looks to be an aggressive tri-lane here. We haven't really mentioned it with IX Mike on his Jakiro. Fluff and Lust just going to support him.
I'm guessing in that lane, yeah, the Jakiro is going to be the one who's
throw someone on the cliff?
Yep. Concussive shot. He's going to actually get a really nice telekinesis done on 2. The Coconut's bouncing. Fluff in some trouble here. Open wounds. Moon actually gets the first blood. They're going to be trading 1 for 1. Actually might be 2 for 1. This double damage from the Jakiro doing some serious work. Lust
changes everything.
He's almost got his Ignite off cooldown. He wants to get the dual breath. Freak trying to go for the jukes. Nice. He should be dead.
He's dead. He's definitely dead. There's no way you can get away from this one. Yeah. But that's really nice exchange for Nyx. And sure, they did lose the first blood to Lifestealer, but then they got 2 kills in return. But that DD rune saved them out. I think it bailed them out, to be honest, from what was a pretty sloppy engagement. They could have tossed him onto high ground as well, so I was a little bit sad he didn't.
Are you sure he was close enough for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He definitely was. But either way, it works out well for Nyx Assassins, and this aggressive tri-lane now has a little bit of momentum, having 2 kills. And a Jakiro against a Lifestealer on the lane is going to be harassing him so much. And Stout Shield doesn't even protect you that much from it.
Yeah.
So this
My other question is like, normally you would say that a Witch Doctor, Skywrath, and a Lifestealer tri-lane has some pretty good kill potential because you just focus the one hero.
Yeah.
But you have a Jakiro and an Ogre. Really the only person that you could engage on, I guess in this case, would be Fluff.
Yeah.
Because you can kill him fast enough in the rage duration to where you're not just putting yourself in harm's way.
Exactly. You will kill him before one of you guys die to the enemy's counterattack. But I mean, this lane is just not going to work out pretty for them. They do have the pull, and they're trying to use it now. They can't do a pull through, but they do get single pull at least without contest. But I think they're going to have to rely a lot on getting pulls here and just playing smart with their supports. We haven't really mentioned the other lanes, though. On bottom lane, for example, we have Brax playing against Limp with the Brewmaster. This matchup is more even, I feel, on the mid lane. Here on the safe lane, I mean, Brewmaster gets a little bit of bonus being on his safe lane, but a long lane can also benefit anyone who can chase you with right clicks. So played correctly, I think Puck can do fairly well.
Yeah, I mean, it's more or less even right now. There's 2 deny advantage for Brax and 1 CS, which is negligible at this point, but we'll see how it plays out. The more levels they actually do get.
Yeah.
The biggest concern really, I guess, on the side of SNA is that eventually Swindle is going to be able to harass TC out of lane pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to address this at some point. It looks like Fluff's going to be...
lane. IX Mike is dead.
Yeah. He ends up dropping. They saw the rotation from Fluff because they had a ward at the top rune spot, so they knew that he was going for the rune, and they just went for the kill, so very nicely timed.
It's pretty big damage, though, just going in and standing like Fluff and stuff is doing now. Exactly like the same as we were talking about on Finstack, the understanding of how to win a mid lane and just break it. Because right now, the mid lane is even, but with Rubik coming in, controlling runes a little bit, it could change things. Now he actually gets caught by this. Oh, he's dead.
He is dead, yeah. He's going to lift. Really, oh, he brings him closer, actually, to stun the other two in the back, but that's not going to save him.
Yeah, nice little trick to stun them there, but still, he didn't have any vision of them walking until it was too late. They just placed another ward here on the hill, but it was not there at the time. So, got caught out, and that's, you know, 2 kills going the way of complexity. That really changes things.
Yeah, supports being in the right place at the right time is really what allows them to do this. And again, these types of supports like Witch Doctor and Skywrath are very good at catching, especially with Concussive Shot. You get that ability off, especially with a mobile hero like Ember mid. If anybody in the top lanes near top rune in the side of SNA, they're basically putting themselves in huge risk of getting ganked.
Also, Skywrath is so fast. He has 325 movement speed, so he can chase down anyone, and when he gets the slow on them, it's just even worse. So they're actually getting a pull through now and starting to win this top lane a lot heavier than I was expecting them to, and that allows Lifestealers to farm up while, sure, IX Mike has 10 CS, but he is going to fall behind here if he doesn't manage to reclaim it with his support's top rune fights.
Yeah, they're going to try to chase Swindle, but unfortunately they're not going to get in range. Having the boots
scary
a little bit
walking
too strong.
there, walking close to this hill against a Rubik. I mean, that can be reason enough not to fight for the top rune there, just because you have to position yourself far enough from the edge so that you can't get put in timeout.
I'm just a bit curious if he really needs this much help with rune control. Like, at the very least, you could bottle crow on the lake and spam wolves and deny runes with the wolves, right? Like, do you really need your supports to be coming to the top rune for you, or is it just like greed?
I don't think they need it, but I think they're a little bit scared of contesting straight up on top lane. So they're back there now, but...
That's right click, holy moly.
The ward sees them though, Set Freak gonna get seen here, but they go on IX Mike, they don't care.
Oh, that's a really good cask. It's going to bounce to IX Mike again, and to Fluff a third time on IX Mike. They're going to be able to kill him. Moon Meander on the killing spree. They're going for Fluff now. They're really committing heavily to try to get that Skywrath counter kill.
Oh, so
but they're going to give away 2 supports.
I think
Plus, he's got 1 Fire Blast, but the Witch Doctor heal, keeping him in fighting shape. He's just going to go for the TP.
Wow, he just had a cask.
Yeah, just barely cooled down when the TP was over.
Yeah, that was really close to all 3 of them dying there on the lane. And they were sort of close to bringing down the Skywrath, maybe, but I mean, that's really horrible for them. And with the face boots and the 1,000 gold now on Moon Meander, this lane is not a lane that you're gonna win anymore. You need to look at other options.
Yeah, I mean, but what are their options, really? Like, the Ember is probably going to be 6 by the time they rotate.
No, they're already smoked in here. They might get him before he has his level 6, but they need to go quickly. He's gonna get 2 creeps right now, 1 deny. Oh, he doesn't get the experience because of it.
Well, he's going to get lifted in, and he should be dead here. He does have a spear, but he goes to it too quickly.
He got it too late.
Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered.
That one denied by TC actually killed the Ember right there. He denied 1 of the 2 creeps that were dying, and if he did not do that, there was no way to kill the Ember. So nice play by TC, knowing that he must have been really close to level 6. So close he even got it there at the end.
He's also decided to go for a Midas at this stage in the game on the Lycan, which is... If you think about it this way, Complexity's push isn't that scary, right? So if you can maintain at least the map control of having your tier 1s up for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, it's probably okay.
I don't like it, Dad.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I think Lycan should have really early Vlads and really early Necrobook. I think that's the strength of the hero. I mean, the Midas is sort of okay because it does propel your leveling, and that sort of helps your push as well because you have higher level in Feral Impulse, dealing more damage with your creeps, whatever. But I say these 1,900 golds, or even more, 2,050 actually, old Midas cost you. 2,050 gold could have been spent towards a Necrobook, and that's much stronger in my opinion. We see Swindle Melons just running out here into an enemy jungle, knowing that the Lycan has to be here.
Yeah, but there's not really much they can do to take him out. They're going to need like minimum 2 or 3 there. And I kind of agree in the sense like you were saying, it does delay his other items, and I think at some stage he's also going to want to think about buying a BKB. Like BKB, Book 3 Vlads, I mean, that's more or less core, right, on every single Lycan, so...
The reason, though, that I don't like it is because if you look over to complexity, what early response do you see to a push? Like, which hero is going to stop a Lycan pushing your towers, the tier 1 towers early on?
I think it's just a matter of confidence, you know? It's just like saying, okay, I think we can last this long. And if I get this item, it will eventually pay off for me in some way. And if he's looking at complexity, the two late-game heroes, the Lifestealer and the Ember more so, of course. Like, Lifestealer doesn't scale amazingly, but he does have a tendency to farm and snowball. It's just a matter of saying their push or D-push is never going to be good. So I can push at any point that I feel comfortable with it.
True.
And it looks like Moon is going to buy a Midas of his own.
Yeah, back to Midas Gaming, man. But for Lifestealer, I feel it's very fine, because he needs to stay relevant in terms of farm and just stay on top of things, which is understandable for a Lifestealer. He's going in mid here and actually going for a gank on TC, but he might live here. Is he going to go away? He actually lives with his ulti.
That was a really nice time on the Searing Chains, by the way, from Swindle, but unfortunately they just didn't have the damage follow-up to kill him, and they got lifted as well. So.
Kept it for as long as possible, but it was an optimistic kill at best. At least it forces out a defensive Lycan ulti, and also forces some rotation, but not that much, really. But this Lifestealer should really just keep farming, get strong, because with a Basher and the type of free farm that he has, I think he can be strong enough to man-fight against the Brewmaster or Lycan, but...
The Brew for sure. The Brewmaster damage isn't really that big of a threat to the Lifestealer. It's mainly the Lycan that's going to be an issue. Yeah,
but they need someone who can actually deal the single target damage, because Ember, sure, he's going to kill supports amazingly. He can hunt down the Jakiro, the Ogre, and the Rubik so well, but Ember is not going to kill a Brewmaster and Lycan that quickly.
I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, but I really like the Desolator build. Actually, we might see a potential gank here on a TC. He does not have his shapeshift this time. Teleport action is coming in. It's going to be Lust, but they are not anywhere near fast enough.
Yeah, that Ancient Seal with the early Ember damage, like Ember almost only having magic damage at this point, is so good with Ancient Seal.
Yeah.
But what you were saying?
I was just talking about like Desolator early on Lifestealer, like maybe not as a first item, but you get like drums or SNY and then a Desolator after the fact, and just go for like the very mid-game oriented build, because that's the build that kills supports and rage like guaranteed, right? Yeah. You just go on them. The Basher is nice for being able to disable people, but if you just hit them ridiculously hard, they die anyway.
Yeah, I like the Desolator build because it also contributes some to your pushing power, which they are really lacking on the side of complexity. Yeah. Like, that's their one weakness. They have decent team fights, they have really good control. Their ganks are, that's their strongest side for sure. And their late game is okay as well, but the pushing power is just non-existent. They have Witch Doctor heal, that's about the best push they have. And some nice creep clearing with Flame Guard, I guess.
Well, they're doing some pushing right now, and it doesn't really look like SNA have any inclination to stop it. It's losing about half health in the tier 1 there, so when it was just beating it down.
Yeah, this is because Jakiro really wants to bring down this tower on bottom lane instead, so they're going to jump in here on Puck.
He doesn't have Orb. He used it to farm. It's still down for one more second. He's not going to be able to phase shift. He throws out a Silence instead. There is a blue split, here on Brax, and he's going to just toss it out. Probably going to be forced to run here. Yeah. Just running his Earth Spirit away. He doesn't want to die with it.
He's perfectly fine. They used the Brew ulti at least, but this also means that no tower is really going down, and that was a clean pick on the Puck by Nyx. So I would say
immediate reaction as well mid.
Yeah, I would say this is really worth it for Nyx, because they just TP'd mid actually with Jakiro and pushed along with the Lycan.
And that tower is probably going to get denied.
Yeah.
Catapult's going to hit it once, and there we go.
It should definitely be on a nice rotation by Nyx, understanding that after all those TPs with Lifestealer coming down bottom as well, they had to just go for another lane. But when you have Lycan, it's so easy to take another lane fast. And he's going for the Vladimirs now after his Midas. But still going to be some time before he can solo push a tower before anyone can even notice.
Yeah, but I think the most important thing to note here is that the tier 1s are going to start dropping, right? Because the Jakiro is already high enough level, whereas Liquid Fire is going to be maxed out.
Yes.
And all he has to do is walk up to one and hit it, and the tower is basically in really, really bad shape. And Complexity are trying to react to this by pushing into the tier 1, but they need to be careful. Quite a few members of SNA over here right now. Fluff's going to steal Flame Guard, which is a really nice spell to have, actually.
That's an amazing spell for Rubik. I mean, normally you wouldn't walk in that close for using it aggressively, but you cannot die, because mostly you will die to magic at this stage of the game. Sure, maybe if you get close distance to a lifesteal, you will still die, but then you kind of walked out of position and you deserve to die. So having this Flame Guard, very useful. And it's also a spell that you can throw out in the beginning of a fight and then steal something else.
Yeah.
Oh, bottom, they're actually playing pretty aggressive here. Going on the Beastmaster, he doesn't have the split and bring him down with the use of a lot of their skills, though.
Oh, Fluff, he's got the Flame Guard on. He's just walking next to Bloody 9 here. The ultimate from Skywrath is going to be used. Ice Path actually off the mark. Now Lin wants to try to go to his orb, but no, he gets lifted at the same time it was just about to run out, so he's not able to jaunt to it. They end up getting a kill anyway as Moon Meander is now down here. The cast going to bounce to Lust one time.
Yeah, Lifesteal just going to town there for a while, and they get 2 clean kills and also back out here. If they can get out without losing anyone, they're going to be just fine. They even have Ember pushing top right now. Get the multicast, but nothing really going to come out of that. And top tower is being brought down by a DD rune on Ember here. So TP is forced by Brewmaster to come up top, and that means they could go 5-man bottom, to be honest, if they want to.
Yeah, I feel as though like Complexity just have the better movement right now.
Yeah.
And they're also farming fairly well on their 3 core heroes, right? Like the Puck is remaining pretty consistent, like 51 CS, and the Lifesteal and the Ember are second and third highest net worth pretty much in the game behind TC, who's playing the Lycan. So all in all, I think that Complexity are doing a pretty darn good job. And the thing is, their team is not meant to push, but they've managed to get a lot of towers really low just by solid play. Like always making sure you have the maximum uptime just on hitting the tier 1s, making sure that they're getting low, even if you're not killing them, because it means when an opening comes out, instead of them glyphing and being able to defend it, the tower is so low that they might just think, okay, we just has to die.
They have had some really good rotations. Now they're going to take the mid tower and trade for the top. It seems no, top actually going to be fine. It has a lot of HP. Bottom lane, solo kill attempt going on to Rubik, and he does get him before he gets the lift off. So nice kill and a tower mid, while top tower should be fine if they TP to it now still, but might just respect the Brewmaster split and not go there.
Solo Jakiro push, man.
Yeah.
Pretty damn strong.
Yeah, he did have Brax around and they knew about that. Mid lane, even going on Lust here.
Yeah, he's just going to die under a tier 2. Not really much they can do about it. And this is kind of what we talked about too during is Complexity's early game is strong. They have the potential to get kills. And because they're actually controlling the map so well, they're still able to have a pretty decent uptime on their push because Nyx is basically reacting to them most of the time. It's not like they're doing anything on their own. They're not playing the aggressors. So in that sense, I think the Complexity have a pretty good amount of control right now. It just depends on how much more impact this Lycan is actually going to have in the next, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, because the way things are going, I don't think Nyx are going to be able to sneak anything like a Roshan.
No, they're just going to have to try and force a 5-man scenario here on bottom lane. There's no real trade anymore as the tier 1s are taken on both top and mid, so we'll see if Complexity want to contest this, but they can't really. The tower just goes down so fast, and with Brewmaster split and a full 5-man gathering of Nyx, because this is the difference. This is the first time they go together with the entire team, and now Nyx is pretty hard to stop. So I think Complexity, they can't find anything anywhere else on the map, and this tower might just be going down slowly here to a siege.
But is it really worth committing this much time to? Because Moon Meander is just pushing top, right? Like he's sitting up there, he's farming away. Swindle, if he wants a TP to the tower, he can. Moon's already got his Armlet, so he's going for the more tanky route, which I do kind of think is a good idea in this game. Like Armlet giving you armor, the bonus HP, letting you be that frontline hero that you so desperately need. They're going to go for Brax here. Can they kill him before the split comes out? Triple Remnant into a Mystic Flare. See you later. Brax is already 2 down on the side of SNA. They managed to kill Z-Freak, but he buys back, teleporting into the tower immediately. Swindle with a triple, taking out IX Mike and TC after Brax had originally fallen, and Lust is just out of there. He's like, nope, I can't really do anything about this.
That was a lot of magic damage going really fast there on the Brewmaster with the triple Remnant, as you caught. It's something that you don't normally want to do on Ember, throwing out all your Remnants aggressively like that, but with the Ancient Shield and bringing him down quickly, it was a nice way to take the fight. Because as soon as Brewmaster is dead without getting a split off, you will probably win that fight. It's such a big part of Nyx.
You're like okay to commit that heavily to the Brew because it's a Brew.
Yeah, if you get stopped though, it's a disaster because then you can't jump out. But at that stage, when he had the Ancient Seal on already, you could just go all in. And he finds a DD rune again here on Ember, so really good runes for him. And this is desperate for Nyx, I think. They want to push and they want to keep controlling the team fights, but 6 to 14 is a big difference.
I think the big players here really, like Swindle's obviously had a great game on his Ember Spirit, but you also have to think like the two supports of complexity are basically what allowed all of this to happen, right? Like, they were the ones who were roaming through mid, getting that first kill on Fluff as the Rubik. That's a really big deal because it basically means the tri-lane at that point is already behind. And as soon as your tri-lane is not doing what it's meant to do, in a lineup where you have to wait for the two cores of your team to actually get like 1 or 2 core items to really be useful, suddenly your whole game plan just goes out the window.
They outplayed them on the tri-lane for sure. The tri versus tri scenario was definitely favoring the Nyx Assassins or bottom lane. He's being chased here, Bloody 9, trying to get away. Even the macro fire just going full jungle clearing.
Well, they get a double coil though. Silence hitting on 3. Is there any follow-up? Moon Meander's coming in. He's got the Rage in the arm. IX should be pretty darn dead here. Fluff's actually going to steal Rage. Moon going for the double here. 1 hit for each. Gets both kills. Now he's going to get hazed up and decides just chasing like from here on out isn't really worth it. And to be honest, oh wow, Brax going forward. He wants his kill. He's going to infest inside of a creep. Wasn't in deny range, so he'll be able to heal from it and then go back to his tier 2. But all in all,
chasing for a Skywrath and then dying with, you know, this may look like 2 supports, but this is a Jakiro that is supposed to be a core position as well.
Yeah.
Still, he does have his Yule Scepter now finished up, even though it looks kind of cluttered in his inventory. It is going to finish up when he respawns. And the Basher now, along with Armlet, finished up for Lifesteer. So Lifesteer he's power right now.
Yeah, this is actually more farm than I think even the Lycan could deal with at this point, because he's actually gone for 1 item basically that helps him fight against melee, which is the Vlads. But then he has Midas and BKB, which are not really, people call it a game-losing item because it doesn't really give you much damage. I guess for a strength hero it's better than everything else, but it's still not enough against a Lifestealer right now.
I still feel that it's sort of true though. I mean, Necrobook would be really strong in this game just for the kind of split type of gameplay from Nyx. But I guess they really want to bank on the 5-man versus 5-man team fights, and then this build is stronger, of course. But in that scenario, I almost feel Armlet into a Heart build on Lycan is even better, just being so tanky and strong, because the amount of stuns are not overwhelming from complexity. Sure, they have the concussive shot as well and some slow and control, even the open wounds from Lifesteer controlling, but that doesn't really matter when you Lycan. So, I don't know. I'm not sure about this item build being the most effective. And as you said, right now I think Lifesteer can man-fight against anyone.
Yeah, the biggest concern that I have is like, what is TC's transition item after BKB? Does he go for like AC? Does he go Basher himself? Does he forego the book entirely and just decide to go for straight up damage items? Because when you buy a BKB, I think most players have a tendency to gravitate towards being the self-carry as opposed to just being the Necro Bush split-pushing monster, right? So from his perspective, maybe, I don't know, maybe he even just goes Deso and just goes like all in damage and tries to fight that way.
Yeah, I reckon he would, because you already have nice armor with the Vladimirs and you have BKB for Magic Immunity. You kind of just have to go into aggressive items from this point on when you go for this type of build. But that's why I also kind of feel that the Armlet Heart build would be stronger. I've seen it sometimes being run in competitive games, but it was a while ago as well. And then, again, another haste and DD rune right now on Ember. This is dangerous. If they push mid now, I think there could be a really bad fight for Nyx Assassins. And look at that stack as well. He doesn't even have level 4 in Sleight of Fist yet.
Hey, he's actually decided to put an extra point into his ult, yeah. That's something you don't really see.
That has to be a mistake, I think. I don't think that's a conscious decision, thinking that it's better. Because you're saying that 14 seconds cooldown on Sleight of Fist doesn't matter that much to you, as opposed to having 6 seconds.
Yeah. No, I agree fully. It was probably just a misclick. But they're going to try to defend this tier 2 here. IX Mike throwing out the Ice Path. Going to go on full retreat. Actually stops the puck from blinking. Could buy them some time. He's going to blink up to the high ground. Manages to get a coil on 2. The split actually gets canceled. That new cast time too long. Swindle going in with the remnants again. Gets a double.
It works, though.
Yeah, TC killing some on the back line. Already taken out Z-Freak. He's going to get the puck as well. Now wants to continue chasing Swindlemelons with that double damage. Going for a support. Gets a triple. Fluff's going to be dying here to Moon Meander, actually, in the back. Yeah. That was a really spread out fight. Like, everyone just decided, all right, I'm going to go for solo kills now. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, Fluff on his Rubik tried to run away, but he got bashed by Lifestealer. And when you have open wounds on you as a support running from a Lifestealer, you're probably never going to live, especially if there's a Basher in his inventory, so you can't even TP out. But that was what seemed to be a decent fight with the BKB, but it was still lackluster. You lost 4 heroes, you took down 2, you took down the offlaner and the support, whereas you lost your Brewmaster, which was a safe lane position, and you lost your offlane and both your supports.
I think, honestly, it was a bit of a mistake by TC to go for supports instead of just focusing Swindle, because, again, he dumped all his remnants into killing.
Oh, they keep contesting here. Want to do something about this Roshan attempt. I think they might turn this, though. Lifesteal could just rage and go here.
Yeah, he's going to rage. Split actually goes off this time. It did get interrupted prior to that.
Oh, they're trying
Bloody
to run
9,
out.
he's dead.
They don't want any of this. Complexity want to run away.
Yeah, Swindle, he's got a little bit of mana left. Doesn't have enough to actually go to his remnant. Now he does. Okay, so he's got some regen from the Battle Fury, but I mean, defending the Roshan's a pretty big deal. The question is, can they get it themselves? I really don't think the Complexity are going to let him do this. And Swindle also picks up an Invis rune, so if he wants to come back in, he can do that. There's no detection around the pit right now on the side of Nyx, and there is a sentry down on the side of Complexity, and they're just going to go inside of the pit. TC pops a BKB. They want to try to go on someone here. Yule's into an Ice Path onto Swindle. He might be dropping. Fluff just getting mauled by Moon Meander. The rage is real. IX might going to be going down too after a first hit bash.
Oh, this is going to turn out to a really bad fight again for them. They get the multicast on Lifestealer in the backyard, in the back of the fight, but they're trying to chase down without Lifestealer now. And their TC doesn't have ulti anymore. Now, finally, in the man-fight scenario against the Lifestealer without ulti, you're never winning that.
Yeah, and now Brax is just like, all right, panic stations, urn canceling blink, pretty good change. Yeah. It's going to be dropping, and that's 4 down on the side of SNA.
And they only lost their Ember, who's really doing so well already in this game, so it doesn't really matter if he dies once now, as long as his team gets a lot out of it. And killing the Lycan, that was a big setback for Nyx now. And he used BKB again, so that's the 2 first BKB charges, really not doing that much. A 10 and a 9 second BKB duration is a big thing for Lycan. You have to play towards this. That's why going for it so early on in a game can be kind of, you know, it can hurt you more than it helps you. The fact that you have them early on in the game where you don't have the items to deal enough damage. He's chasing more than he's hitting.
The other thing that's a problem is his long BKB is going to get countered by the fact that Moon already has an Abyssal, and it's 23 minutes in. So if they want to focus the tankiest heroes, I think that's okay for Complexity, because really, the follow-up damage from Nyx right now, we talked about how BKB is great against Complexity, but when they picked up the Lifestealer, suddenly they had a hero who could actually go in and deal with that. Yeah. But I feel like right now, Nyx only has TC, but the problem is the physical damage dealer on Nyx comparative to what Complexity has is not really the same. Yeah. They are so much farther ahead in terms of like damage dealing items as opposed to having to go Midas into BKB. That's basically 6,000 gold that you spent that doesn't help you carry it. Yeah, that is true. But I can't help but feel that if Nyx get the correct team fight going with their Jakiro setup and with Brewmaster's control, they could actually pull out a win from a team fight. But right now it's 11 to 24. And you're the one running a Brewmaster, and you can't control fights at all. Like, Brewmaster's being shut down more than he would like. He's 1-4-2 on a safe lane position Brewmaster. Admittedly, it was a 1-on-1 scenario, but still a pretty easy way to farm up compared to being mid, where you're more likely to get ganked. So I think they need to take the fights in a way that Brewmaster can get his split off. Because they had a lot of fights where he's trying to blinking, clap, and ulti. It doesn't work against Skywrath. It never will work against Skywrath. And Puck is also on top of him. And Puck going for that Axe, man. Yeah, it's insanely strong. Especially when they want to really kill TC. If you drop the coil on him, even in BKB, it's like, okay, well, if our Lifestealer chases you, you get stunned for 4.5 seconds. You still die. Speaking of dead. Yeah. See you later, Fluff. Don't even reveal the Lifestealer infest yet. They just killed him without it. Lifestealer was sitting inside like, yep, you got this. I don't need to help you. And Nyx pretty much realizing that they can't do much and gonna try and split push. But here on top lane, if Brax is not careful, he could get picked off. I think he saw them. Oh, he gets ultied. He has to split right now. Nah, it's too late. He's dead. Not a single miss, by the way. That was pretty crazy. Not a single miss. Just win. Straight auto attacks. Went ham. He bought his BKB recipe before he died, but honestly, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to matter. The BKB? Like, the Lifestealer is just going to kill your split at this point. Yeah. And he also doesn't have the hammer, does he? No. So he still has some to farm up before he even gets this item. Yeah. And it is probably, as you say, going to be too late. You're going to have to BKB just to get your split off immediately. What you want to do in some fights is that you jump in, BKB, fight for a little while, and then pop your ulti.
to use the BKB duration, but in this game, I don't think you can. Lifesteal's gonna just super bash you. Bottom, Swindle Melons trying to man fight against the Lycan a little bit, but then realizes better to jump out. Ember.
That's double Battle Fury.
It is, and he's pretty much banking on the fact that there are a lot of melee heroes on Nyx, and with the Bruce Split and the Wolves as well, many targets to splash on, so I like it.
Yeah, we talked about actually in the draft too, saying that like against this style of team, you really would think about going double Battle Fury, even over crit.
Yeah.
Or MKB
but
or something like that.
Definitely a Daedalus. Obviously, you can go for more Battle Furies, but it becomes to a point where the enemy can just play the positioning game, never really hugging up, and then you can't do much. But, I mean, 2 Battle Furies on Ember is terrifying, but it doesn't mean that you can stay completely spread out in team fights. You have to sometimes run and help your teammate, and you can't always pay attention to the Battle Furies.
Yeah. And we saw Z-Freak there actually almost finishing up his own Aghanims, so there's Aghanims on Puck, soon to be Aghanims.
That's a scary combo.
Yeah, there is an Aghanims now on Z-Freak, so it's like Aghanims coil, Aghanims Witch Doctor ulti, an Abyssal Lifestealer, double Battle Fury Ember.
That's the click your spells and then drop the keyboard and mouse and just win. But anyway, bottom.
Nice knowing you.
Fluff once again going down to this gank. Moon Meander jumping out to take the kill this time, and he's on a godlike streak. He hasn't died a single time. He's 9-0-7 in this game, having pretty much the time of his life when really they should have been struggling on that top lane, but with some nice play from both the supports and him on lane stage, they pulled out ahead and just have been playing on that since.
Yeah, I'm really impressed actually with how Bloody Nine and Z-Freak actually were able to accomplish so much, and just having that top ward, I was really surprised that Fluff actually decided to make that kind of movement when you know that if a team has 3 heroes top, there's gonna be a rune or a ward at the rune, right? Like 99% of the time, if you're prioritizing that many heroes there, you're gonna have vision. So the fact that he decided to make that movement at that point in time, and then his team getting caught for it, really cost them pretty heavily here. I expect going for the YOLO tier 2 here, he's going to just die to a death ward channeled by Z-Freak. And
he wants gold, man. He wants gold for his team. I mean, he has Yules and Force Staff on himself. He doesn't need anything more, but he needs to bring down tower for his team and also providing time so that people can farm the side lanes. So I think that was the greater sacrifice dragon going in there. Turns out to be a deny anyway, so only sadness.
Only sadness. I mean, TC's got his Assault Cuirass, which is obviously a very good item.
It's an item of great worth. Yes.
Yeah, it is value. Gives you some armor, some minus armor. You get to attack a bit faster, and it lets you man fight against the Lifestealer a bit better, which I do think is kind of important at this stage. My real question is, like, does it even matter? Does
it matter? And again, the Infests, they're just gonna try and go top now, but Lycan already keeping away. This could be bad for Complexity. They have already brought Puck home.
Oh, Brax going in. Bloody Nine gonna die. He gets his silence off, but the BKB split comes out straight away. Swindle's got to retreat. Remnant, he's gonna go to that. Z-Freak, unfortunately.
Should be getting 2 kills here. No need to lift him for too long. They're just bringing him down, and the damage is there. Now they're actually gonna try and go in with the Puck Infest.
Oh, Moon, he's going to town right now on a TC. The Abyssal Blade right after the BKB. The Death Ward actually stolen by Fluff. It's doing a ton of damage. The Ice Path freezes him. He's actually going to go down. Fluff gets the godlike. The spell steal is real now. Melons once again going to go on retreat. Lin possibly going for a kill here. He blinks forward after jaunting to the orb and kills Lust. Now might be forfeiting his own life. He does have another phase shift. Melons with a double chains and a low ground. Brax and Fluff both getting hit by that. Wants to continue to run away.
Swindles is pretty strong here, but a lot of control as well from the side of Nyx. I think both teams kind of want to pull out here, but Complexity trying to chase them down a little bit more. And that was a very disorienting fight. Both the most important heroes died on the sides of these teams. So Lifestealer brought down by that Rubik stealing Death Ward. That was the big part in the fight for sure.
The thing that was so funny about that is that the Witch Doctor didn't have, like, he didn't use his Death Ward.
Yeah.
He just had it stolen from earlier.
Oh, God.
So it was like...
That shouldn't really happen ever on Witch Doctor if you're paying attention to that there's a Rubik in the game, because you can always just give away the heal instead. I mean, it's almost like rotting after a hook. You can just heal after your ulti. Understandable if he steals it while you're channeling. In that case, you're the Enigma just standing there, like, steal it if you want. But really big gold swing, and the first really big play as well from Fluff. We said it earlier, he had some bad or unlucky rotations that didn't really work out. And now finally getting his gold from this kill.
Yeah, I mean, he's 2-10, so he hasn't had the greatest performance by any stretch, but getting a fight like that when you're this far behind, I think is a godsend for Nyx, and it might keep them alive a little bit longer in this game. Just depends on how Complexity choose to take the next engagements, I would say that that was a pretty fortuitous timing. Like 2 heroes basically being gone at the start of the fight, 2 of which being, I would say, maybe the most impactful outside of Swindlemelons, which, I mean, getting an Aghanim's coil and a lifestealer with an Abyssal beating on you and not having to worry about that for a good, like, 15, 20 seconds.
Well, as soon as they TP top, that was such a good time for Nyx to take the fight. I believe that Nyx went in before they even saw the TP coming to top, though, so the Nyx was, like, going at a,
it was a YOLO call.
A very fortunate time, because I believe they didn't show at all that they were TPing top to try and kill the Lycan. But in the same way, Lycan didn't show his TP coming back home as well. So both teams kind of playing blindly there, and Nyx coming out on top on it. But Lifesteer, I think he's going for a MKB in this game. I mean, Daedalus could be fine as well, but it should be MKB. Oh, wait. They're running into Brax.
Oh, Brax, he has the BKB. He's going to try to TP away, but he gets Abyssal. Yeah, see ya.
Oh, he actually gets stops hitting him.
But I don't really think it matters. They're going to be able to kill the puck. At least can they kill Moon, though? That would be huge. The Death Ward doing quite a bit of damage there. Moon actually dies again. Not a single person down on the side of Nyx. The turnaround is real. Holy cow, Z.
What is going on, Rascal? What's happening, Dad?
This is not Dota. Okay, I need to know if that was a Rubik Mystic Flare, because he was dying really fast. Or was it another Death Ward? I don't remember. Show the fight recap, quick. What did Rubik steal? Well, he didn't. Okay, so it was definitely the skies.
Okay, so that fight just gave Nyx 10,000 experience
and 4,000 gold. Oh my god.
That is pretty brutal. And now the push is real, man. Like, they gotta lose at least 1 lane of Rex from this, maybe even more.
Imagine if IX Mike was here, how easy this push would be. Well, the puck buy is back. They do have a double Battle Fury Ember, which is pretty damn scary, even if it's just alone.
Okay, they're respecting the damage output from this Ember Spear and just backing off. Probably a wise thing to do. Battle Furies are a nice way to stop a push without committing at all.
Right.
So backing out, but Nyx taking an insane team fight. And I believe that Brewmaster got his split off only because Lifesteer stopped attacking him.
Did he actually
switched. He actually switched target before he split. I'm not 100% if he had the attack time to get the last attack on him before he would get to split off. But, you know, imagine if there was no split in that fight, that would have been pretty major. So kill your enemies until they're dead, I think.
That was pretty... I mean, at first it looked like Brax was going to die, and then I was like, okay, this fight's over as soon as he dies. But then he didn't die, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, suddenly everyone on the side of Complexity is just getting massacred. And I mean, that's another item in progression for TC. In the meantime, Swindle does pick up his MKB. But I think that, that fight, he wasn't there, was he?
I don't really like this. No, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
I don't really like this MKB at all, to be honest. I still think Daedalus is better, even against a team that has Drunken Haze. I mean, how often are you actually able to target an Ember Spirit with your Drunken Haze and land it? It is a very elusive hero, and overall I would say that crit is so strong for you. I mean, I could understand if there was already a Halberd on TC and there was more things going on evading you, but really it is only the Drunken Haze that's level 1, to be honest. But that he doesn't know, probably.
Right.
But I just think Daedalus is such a value item when you're playing with a cleave like this, because MKB damage does not split. It's single target applied. So it's not something that you benefit at all from in terms of your Battle Fury build.
But the crits cleave.
The crits do cleave.
Yes, and that hurts a lot.
Yeah, so I think this is a little bit of value lost going for this type of item, but could be nice in case there would be a butterfly late game transition on the Lycan. We're obviously not going to see that anymore. Smoke up here from Nyx, trying to go for another one of these fights. Maybe going for an engagement bait on Brax, but I think they have to go and find the fight. No one's going to go on a Brewmaster like this. Well,
they've done it, and they paid the price, basically. So maybe they'll be a bit gun-shy about it next time. And Complexity's on the high ground. Fluff is going to be in front here. That's not necessarily the best spot for him to be. The Sleight of Fist comes out. IX Mike taking some damage. They actually managed to catch Moon with an Ice Path, but they decide not to commit to him. A little bit too tanky for their tastes.
Yeah. Another thing about being too tanky, in the last fight that we also saw the result of having Vladimir's and Assault Cuirass on your Lycan. Because you really neglect so much of the damage from Complexity. They're relying so heavily on Lifesteer clicking you down, Witch Doctor ulti coming out, and Ember Spirit with his right clicking. But if you have that much armor onto all of your heroes because of these auras, you can just mad fight, which was what happened on top lane there. Even the Witch Doctor ulti, which was channeling for such a long time, didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
It brought them low, but it didn't kill. If that 10 armor to everyone wasn't there, it would have killed people.
Well, speaking of killing and damage, it's a DD Ember from the side of Complexity.
I feel like he had that all game.
He really has had a DD very often. It's kind of crazy, actually. And it's a double MKB coming out from Complexity as Moon actually decides to pick up his own MKB, which I think is a little bit more reasonable because you're actually like melee all the time. Yes. Otherwise, you're not dealing damage. So that one I think is understandable.
Understandable, but even so, I would very happily see an Assault Cuirass come out on the side of Complexity because you're trying to fight without having any Vladimirs or AC on your team against double auras from the enemy team.
Right.
And this is a big thing. I will highlight it once again that having 10 armor to every single hero on your
Plate
team
mail on
and
everyone.
-5 to entire enemy team is such a big impact.
Yeah.
So the value being gained right here is massive. Brewmaster, by the way, we didn't really talk about it, has a finished Hex now. This could be a big item if they get the proper initiation.
And they're actually just going to go to try and split push top. I mean, the tier 2 does die.
Maybe they could kill
lane.
the Ember here if he's not careful.
Oh, if he doesn't know he has a Hex, it could be really dangerous for him. He's going to spot him out, but the Sleight of Fist is actually going to keep Brax from being able to blink forward.
And kill everything.
Yeah.
Moon Meander gets caught out a little bit here by some spells, but he does have his Aegis, is perfectly fine. But Ember successfully defending, and he also should have a Remnant with his team, doesn't
he? Yep, he does. Bottom lane.
He does. So still, the pressure is on to Nyx Assassins here, even though they want to pull the aggro away. But Complexity, they have to be a little bit fierce. They have to be a little bit scared of going into this fight because of how last fight went. Like, they don't want to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Okay, so I think he just went to the wrong Remnant because he's bottom now. Wait, what the heck happened?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he lagging?
He appears to be stuck.
He's stuck.
He's actually stuck.
Can he use another Remnant to move?
Can he? I mean...
What's happening right now?
I would assume he would do it. Nice Dota game. Manners, please. Ike's Mike, not even knowing what's going on, just immediately. Manners, please. So he's getting a TP scroll and try and TP out of this bug. I don't think he could use his ulti at all because
he can't move.
Yeah, he would have done it.
That was awkward.
Yeah.
Like, his spirit wasn't even there. It was bottom.
I would assume that he jumped out to his spirit while it died on the way, sort of. But how did he... I mean, it was not even a straight line towards his Remnant. He just kind of ended up on bottom lane.
Dota 2, what a game.
Dota 2, out of beta.
Yes.
It's nice. We've been out of beta for
over a year.
Over a year. It's nice. Let's celebrate that with some nice Ember play.
Too bad Bruno wasn't watching this game. He would have been freaking out. He'd be like, what the heck? How did that happen?
He would. We shall show him the replay later on.
Well, he's a programmer, so he would be like, oh, easy fix.
Yeah, who would be like, yeah, oh yeah, that bug. I made that. So Lycan still doesn't have Abyssal Blade, by the way, at this point. And that's one good thing going for Complexity. Sure, there is the Hex for the instant lockdown, but at least Lycan can't just charge in and bash someone guaranteed and hammer away at them. So he's still kiteable, but I wonder if the next fight is really going to be that easy for Complexity, despite being still ahead in terms of golden experience by more than 10,000. I think the next team fight could benefit Nyx much more.
I feel like their team fight is still very strong on the side of SNA. And Complexity relies so heavily on, like he's saying, like maybe the 1 or 2 cores really doing the majority of the damage. And with BKB up on TC, on Brax especially too, it's like guaranteeing that your split's going to go off in the fight is much more impactful, plus having the Hex to be able to lock down the target that you want. If you get a good jump and you get the follow-up damage, like the hero will die. We've seen that Moon still dies exceptionally fast because he's gone for Abyssal, he's gone for MKB.
Yes.
He doesn't have that AC like you said. There's no auras on his team at all. So 13 armor is not really that much.
Oh, it disappears. Like, he really dies fast. Luckily, there's no Desolator as well on the enemy team, but he gets brought down really quickly if the enemy team's focusing him. This game, I just wanted to ask you something. This is the type of game where I would buy Aghanims on Puck, right?
Right.
And then everyone would flame me because the game turns out like this. And you can't get pickoffs with Puck if you don't have Hex. And you're good at team fighting, but if you don't win the team fights, then Aghanims turns really useless. Do you think it's still a good choice to go for it?
You mean for Aghanims? I think it's still really good because you have heroes who like function really well when everyone's stuck in the same spot. They're going to get a Hex and a Swindle here, but there's actually no follow-up. TC gets Abyssal with his BKB on while they're trying to run outside of base, and the coil's there. He's not going to be able to retreat. He wants to go for Z-Freak, but he gets stunned for 4.5 seconds. The immediate cancel, the Death Ward from Brax. He throws him up immediately. The Aghanim's definitely worth, but Moon, he's going to be losing his Aegis here. TC already bought back. Fluff, he steals a Death Ward. Can he get himself back into a position to actually use it? He wants to throw it down. Here comes the Death Ward. It's doing some work on the Puck, but he manages to phase shift out. Swindle with the cancel and the fire chains. Moon gets another Ice Path on him. Puck outside of the base. Brax silence retreating. The full Remnant commitment, but Brax is able to blink away. He doesn't actually drop just yet. TC, he cannot die back here. He's already bought back once. A clap and a Hex. They managed to take on Swindle Melons. He does not have any retreat remnants out. It's 2 down. They've only gotten the tier 3. The rest of Complexity has to back up. Lust, he goes for the ding-to-ding, but he doesn't get it. Just a single Fire Blast. The slow is real, though. Ignite on 3. He has Remnant stolen. He wants to go for Moon. Are they going to be able to take him down? No, Lust actually stuns on a Bloody 9 instead, and they will buy back bots on the Ember. They've baited Nyx out of the base a little bit. They want to try to get some kills here.
This
Another
is one crazy fight. Keep going.
4 staff away. Fire chains onto him. They're going to be able to get the melee racks here. There's no more glyph. The zoning macro pyre. Moon, he's going to get Yules here. TC wants to go in. The Ice Path is there. They're going to be able to kill Moon once again.
Oh no, Swindle, you can't commit here. You don't have buyback, man. You already used your buyback. Oh, that's the dieback. That's 2 minutes of sideline, at least 116 seconds.
God.
Sure, they got the racks, but now that's a cue for Nyx to just push down mid lane. What a crazy, crazy engagement.
Brax played that so well.
Yeah.
Like they got the melee racks, but Brax canceled that Death Ward like before a single attack went off.
Yeah, that was instant. That was really instant. And also, I think Swindle kind of misplayed not only after the buyback there, but also before committing several Remnants to jump in at this stage of the game is not something you ever want to do. Like, you want to just use a single Remnant for everything because you have the mana to keep jumping, but now they're going to have to pay the price as they jump in the Hex.
Moon forced to buy out here. Bloody 9's definitely going down. There's no way he's going to live through this. He even preemptively splits. Moon is getting destroyed.
Oh, they had...
He infested into the Wolf. Yeah. He infested the Wolf. I was like, did they actually just lose now? Because, no, he can just send it back. What's he going to do? All right, he's coming out of the Wolf. He gets Yules. The Ice Path is going to be there. Does he have time to rage? No, he doesn't. That's a dieback from Moon.
You need to mash harder there. You can actually do it. You can rage immediately.
Oh, my God. Did they actually just lose?
Oh, I don't think that this is looking good, man. Like,
they have a
Puck is
naked
trying
Brax
to do
top
what
too.
they can.
The Death Ward's being used right here. They're forcing Brax back, but TC's just going ham on the range racks. He doesn't even care. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Even as Bloodlust just pushes so hard at this edge. The Howl comes out in the Hex again.
Onto the Puck. He's going to get stunned here by the Cask. Brax pops a BKB, blinks forward. There's still no split. They're going to get one set of racks. Everyone on the side of Nyx is actually very low, but they're just making the transition top. Yeah. There's no cores. Swindle still got 20 seconds left.
Back here. They're too low on the TC. They can't keep pushing. If Lycan doesn't have HP, they're going to try for a kill.
He gets a lift. Can they follow it up with the Ice Path? It's going to land. They do manage to get a silence on at least Brax here, but they're going to lose Bloody 9 again. He's forced to buy out. Fluff, he had the orb stolen. He jaunts to it.
That's fine. They can just back out now. They got the forced buyback. They also need to go down bottom and defend this as the range racks is going down. Is anyone going to defend this? I think the range racks is just going to fall.
Cardi the Catapult.
Cardi hype.
I mean, to be fair, there were like 80 melee creeps that were going to kill it.
No. Cardi got this. He also got the last hit, so extra gold to Cardi.
OP.
He's going to afford to buy some new catapult shots, you know?
Oh, my God.
Good stuff.
What a game.
Good stuff. Dude, that was the hype after a really long, intense, boring game, to be honest. Like, sure, we had good fights in the early on.
I was like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Everything is erupting and crazy team fights. Both teams are executing really well, though, but when you make some small mistake on your important heroes, that can change everything. Or even the big mistake, the big plays like Brewmaster.
Look at the graph.
Yeah, the graph is just ridiculous in this game. I mean, they were ahead by over 20,000 experience, and now they're actually looking to be behind in experience soon.
Dear Lord.
Completely crazy.
The Abyssal done on TC. By the way, I just want to point out you were so right on the AC Vlads, because when Moon went on TC, Kitten did nothing to him.
It's crazy. Like Vlads and Assault Cuirass, when they changed so that these two auras actually stack defensively, because they didn't used to stack, you used to get 5 armor only, but when they were implemented so they can stack together, my first reaction was that, okay, every single team must have a Vlads and an AC, because you can just straight up fight your opponent. Oh, they're going mid. They're rushing straight in. Is IX Mike going to pay for this? They do have a Hex to
follow up this Ice Path. Brax blinks forward. There's a Hex on the Puck. He's dead. So dead.
Yeah.
He actually does not have buyback either.
He doesn't. Just barely doesn't.
Oh, Z-Freak. He's channeling the Death Ward, but he's just going to get it stolen and ends up dying anyway.
He was doing the Shadow Blade ulti, by the way.
Okay, you have 2 dead. Neither of them actually have buyback. So is this just another set of racks?
I mean, against the Lycan and the Ogre, I think even with the Jakiro, it doesn't really matter that much as this stage. But this should be racks.
I would be really, really disappointed if I was Complexity right now.
Yes, but I mean, that's what happens when you make mistakes as well. They have to pay for this. This was the top team fight that changed everything. It was the start of the beginning maybe for them. Or beginning of the end.
Yeah, the beginning of the end. The Raxes are just going to get annihilated. The start of the end, the beginning of the start.
Yes.
I mean, I guess that's kind of the same thing. But either way, I mean, SNA coming back in a huge way, being a massive deficit of like 20,000 golden experience behind, like you mentioned. And
this will be one of the bigger comebacks in Dreamleague if
I don't think, this is the biggest. They're going to get a Hex and a Swindle once again. There's not going to be any follow-up, though. Bloody9 with a nice defensive force staff. He's going to get Cycloned up. Swindle actually retreating to the tier 4s with his Remnant. They're going to throw a boulder here. Should be a kill. They're going to use the Death Ward, actually, stolen by Fluff to secure that one. But
yeah, they used a lot of resources, but no buyback on the Scarif as well. They're just going to keep going.
There's a tier 2 bottom, that's why. They're just going to attack the tier 4s because as a tier 2, they're going to get a triple coil and a silence. The Jakiro's going to be dropping immediately. The Death Ward from Z-Freak doing a ton of work here. TC going to get abyssaled. He will drop, so will Lust. It's a double kill for Moon. They're going to force SNA out of their base for now.
Yeah, and buyback is 50-second cooldown on Lycan with 110-second death. We'll see. I think they definitely can force this, but also we could see Complexity just go into Roshan, but they should be pushing and taking a mid-racks. Being down 2 racks is so hard that going straight for a push here could be a better choice. Downside is, Lycan is going to have his buyback in a while. We'll see if there will be any stalling for this. 25 seconds now.
Jakiro can buy back, but no one else can.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can straight up get the racks here before Nyx have the buyback. But even then, do you fight without Jakiro and Ogre?
I think you probably can. I mean, they're not going to have Skywrath, and Skywrath doesn't have bots. And I don't... Wait, is the Death Ward going to be up for this push? It could be. It's not that long of a cooldown.
It's 25 seconds from now, so...
So both Death Wards... Well, Fluff's Death Ward is going to be up before Z-Freak's.
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty big deal.
Rubik could be the one defending this with his Death Ward, just holding them away. It seems like they're going to hold using that buyback on Jakiro. And now we're going to see straight transition into Roshan, I think, immediately from coL.
But is that the right call?
I think so. Because they already have the push top thanks to Swindle Melons, and someone has to go there and react, and they could go for a very quick Roshan here. I mean, Roshan he's a poor boy at this stage. Everyone else is so strong.
Yeah.
And Moon Meander is realizing they need some armor, so he's going into the Assault Cuirass now with a plate mail first.
And he cannot hold the Aegis, so I guess they're going to give it to maybe Swindle?
He might take the Aegis still, just drop the plate mail and swap it out. But Swindle could definitely use the Aegis as well. He is going for the crit now along with his MKB. But I still would say that Daedalus would have been so good in many of these fights. He hasn't had the Drunken Haze on him at all, but maybe that's also due to having a MKB. But I'm not sure. I'm feeling that MKB was a bad decision for Ember. I just think the way they have stacked up... So you think if he had like Daedalus or maybe double Daedalus at this point? Yes. Oh, mid. They're going to go again. The aggressiveness here. Hex. They know he doesn't have the Aegis. Another nice defensive force staff, but the Ice Pass still hits on 2. Are they going to be able to follow this up? There is a retreat remnant out. Bloody9, though, not going to be so fortunate. Just ends up dropping. John to the orb. Lin trying to get himself out of harm's way. Moon, he's spending some time in the air. There's no damage output right now. Oh no, the stolen Death Ward coming out from Fluff, but the Sleight of Fist kills Lust and Fluff instantly. Now TC on full retreat. Swindle with the serious damage. It's 3 kills in quick succession. They were standing right on top of each other. They just exploded. Never want to stack against Battle Fury, man. Holy crap. That was the crazy deeps right there. Not even deeps, just damage. Not per second, just right there. Instant. They died immediately. Yeah. There was another nice stolen Death Ward. It went off for like a couple of seconds and then just dead. Yeah. Nothing else, just dead. The death was so fast, and this could definitely be even game, to be honest, if they keep pushing here. We have buyback on Lycan, but no buyback on Jakiro, no buyback on Ogre, no buyback on Rubik. So this could definitely be just a throne going down. This should be GG. They popped the glyph. TC buys back. Brax and TC are the only ones alive right now. He actually blinks in with a Ghost Scepter prematurely pop. He's going to be able to BKB, gets abyssaled, and he's a goner. So Complexity most likely will be able to seal this. Oh, TC, he gets bashed. The bashes are real. He's got to retreat.
They're trying to hold this as best they can. There's only 5 seconds left on Fluff, 7 left on Lust. Are they going to be able to hold this off? I think the damage is too much. I think even if they spawn, they're not going to be able to get it quick enough. Fluff,
Oh, they
he gets
could
a lift
maybe
on
though.
Swindle.
They're all spawning.
Moon,
Can they stop
he's going to
Moon?
get stunned. The telekinesis
Oh,
stun.
the stun
Are they
is
going to be
there.
able to take him down? The death ward from Z-Freak, though, it's tearing through Nyx.
Oh,
They're not
they
going to be
just
able to
nah.
sustain. The split comes off from Brax. They're still alive for the time being. Moon, he wants to go on this throne so bad. It should be it. There's
Throne is
catapults.
down.
Yeah.
Throne is down for sure.
GG
They
well
tried
played.
to the very end to try and stop them there. GG well played, and that was a very hard to predict game when it went past the 30-minute mark. I mean, I thought that coL had it, but then they made it look really, really hard for a while. Until they finally got that crit as well on Ember, and he got the massive clear in the final fights.
The Ogre and the Rubik just standing next to each other, just like holding on for dear life, and then suddenly they were no more.
It's like,
From full to
come here,
zero.
support buddy, just let's hold hands.
my hand.
Doesn't work that way.
GG no re. So congratulations to Complexity. Again, you said it perfectly. They made it look hard.
They made it look
when
hard.
it didn't really have to be that hard. But
when you're 20,000 experience ahead and about 15,000 gold ahead, the game should never actually look hard. Even with your opponent playing as perfect as they can, you have to make mistakes to lose.
Right.
It's something that most players will agree on, that there is this point where only you can lose the game and the enemy can't really win. But in the end, they did win the game.
yeah. So again, Complexity, they take game number 1. Of course, we still have 2 more games coming your guys' way. It is all best of 1s, not a best of 3. But we're going to be taking a short break before we bring you game 2 between SNA and Complexity.
Inspired from the stealth fighter bomber, go faster than ever thought possible with more control and optimization that adapts to you. ASUS RT AC87U Wireless AC 2400 Dual Band Gigabit Router. Equipped with 2 dual-core processors, 87U guarantees robust multitasking for all your connected devices simultaneously. With USB 3.0, you can experience up to 10 times faster speeds. Share printers, storage devices, connect 3G and 4G mobile broadband, and make Time Machine-enabled backups. ASUS AI Cloud 2.0 is your personal cloud to access, sync, share, and stream